What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Back at the bankroll challenge at the 1-2 or 1-3 streets, and I'm home right now in Boston, and I had to come here at the Encore. You can see behind me, and I had to make a video, had to include this because obviously this was the spot where I actually completed my very first bankroll challenge, grinding in the 1-3 streets from $0 to $10,000. It wouldn't be right to not include this property here, so if anyone's watching from Encore or anything like that, please let this video live. That would be really cool. I wanted to include it because I love the property, and it's just kind of, it feels like I'm back home whenever I'm here. But we're gonna play some 1-3, $500 buy-in, and I have one thing I wanted to say before that, and it's pretty important when it comes to making money and being profitable in poker. The rake here is unfortunately a little higher than I'd like it to be at the 1-3 streets. It's $10 max. So I think it's 10% up to $10. I'm not sure the actual details, but when they take $10 out of the pot, more than 3 big blinds at the 1-3 streets, it's hard to be profitable. So it's gonna be pretty tough. Long term, I'm losing a lot. It's just something for all the grinders and people that are trying to make money in poker. You gotta know what the rake is because it adds up long term over time. And here, when the rake is pretty high, more than 3 big blinds is pretty high. You gotta play a little bit tighter. Try to play bigger pots. So that's the game plan here. I'm gonna try my best to be as tight as possible, but make content for you guys. But I know that like long term, I'm not gonna make a whole lot of money because the rake is so high. With the rake, and you have to tip the dealers. Both things are hard to beat long term. If you're playing 5-10 and they're raking $10 a hand, then that's no big deal. But the 1-3 street's gonna be tough. But I'm in for $500, and let's try to battle out, see what happens. Wish me luck. Entering this 1-3 game with a $500 max, the second hand dealt in. I pick up pocket 10s and I'm in the cutoff where the hijack starts off the action, raising to $15. Here in position, facing a 5x raise, certainly pretty big, and I think I can go either with a call or raise, but seeing as we are trying to get value and make money in this hand, I think the best option is to raise to $50. Action folds around to him, and he insta 4-bets to 125. Oh my god, I just sat down, just got my chips ready to go. Very interesting spot immediately into the session. I'm probably not going to fold though early on this session, even though I feel like most 1-3 players aren't going to be 4-betting super light. Maybe ace king at the worst, but let's see a flop. I can always spike a 10, right? We're going to a flop which comes king, king, 7, and he surprisingly just checks. Pretty confused about this line. Feel like 2 kings on the board should certainly favor this player more, but I'm happy to check back as I don't see much merit into betting. Now, going to the turn, which comes another 7. He bets out $100 now, and I guess he can have a lot of ace highs that are randomly betting here now after it checks through on the flop, maybe thinking that he sees some weakness, or certainly could be up against queens, jacks, and hands like that beat me, but I'm gonna call one more time. Now we're going to the river, which comes a deuce. Going to fold basically to another bet, as I don't think these players are going to bluff ever, but when he checks it, easy decision. I check back and he shows pocket aces running right into it early on in this session. I lose $225 sadly, and yeah, I'm gonna add on for a couple $100 more. Nice welcome into the session of 1-3, running into aces. I pick up another pocket pair in the next hand with pocket 6s in the big blind. There's a middle position player who limps and a button raised to $12. Happy to make the call, obviously, for this price. Let's set mine. Middle position player calls as well. And when the flop comes king, jack, 4, rainbow. Not the flop I'm looking to see and basically giving up here, but action checks around. Turn comes in ace, so doesn't really change a whole lot. I'm still hating this board. But once again, action checks all the way through. So interesting development. I can't imagine I'm ahead, but we're going to a river which comes in 8. I have 5th pair in a dream. So that leads me to check. Everyone checks. The button shows 8-7 offsuit who raise on the button. Interesting. The limper shows king 3. He's going to win a small pot of $36, but the sad thing is that Encore rakes $4 from it. So his profit is only $20 all said and done, basically showing you how valuable it is to only play and win bigger pots. It's really hard to win money by only winning small pots as the house takes a lot of the action. All right, it's pocket pair city. I have 8s now in +1 with a $6 straddle on, and I decided to raise it up to $25 first to act. And multi-way we go. Very rare to see heads up pots in 1-3, the hijack and button call. 3 ways to a flop of jack 7 deuce to diamonds all around. Not a bad board. Pretty safe with only 1 overcard, but out of position and being combined with multi-way, it leads to check more and action checks all the way around. When the turn comes a 4, all things considered, another pretty safe card. Still, I think in theory, I have to check given we're multi-way and I don't have a strong hand. And once again, action checks around. All right, now we get to see a river. Everyone's being very passive. It's a 3, which I do lose to some straight combos like 5-6 or ace-5. But with one pair, got to get value from a 7, a 4. Who knows? Assuming one pair is good, I decide to size up to $75 here. Think that I can get called by lots of non-believing hands. Players at 1-3 don't like to fold, but sadly they both fold. All right, I guess they both had nothing, and I'll take down the first pot of the day finally. The next spot is an interesting one where I pick up ace-jack of hearts on the big blind. There is an early position player who limps a low jack raised to $15 to ISO, but when the hijack makes the call and action folds to me in the big blind, multi-way here, I feel like calling certainly could be fine, but raising seems to make the most sense with a strong hand. Not only does it give me the opportunity to just win the pot right now, but the incentive is that I win $35 without having to pay any money to Rake. As we're playing lower stakes, the Rake is much more important, so I decide to go for the aggressive route and size up to a 3-bet of $75. The limper folds, the low jack folds, and the hijack thinks about it for a while with not much in his stack of about $150. He then flicks in the fold, so I take down all the money pre-flop, didn't have to risk playing out of position multi-way, and on top of that, I don't lose $10 to the casino. All right, let's go to the next interesting spot where we have Jack-10 offsuit in the cutoff with an under-the-gun straddle on. Action folds to me and I raise up to $25, and only the straddler makes the call with not much in his stack. Going to a flop now of Queen 9 Deuce Rainbow. He starts off with a check to me and hits sitting with an open-ended straight draw. Happy to try to blow up the size of the pot, so I bet $25. But bad news, he check raises to $125. And the sad thing is that he only has $75 behind in his stack, so he's playing $200 total. And this is just comedy. What do you want me to do here, guys? I'm basically facing an all-in of $200, and there's only $75 in the middle, including my $25 bets. All right, sir, you win this one. It's painful to let go of open-ended straight draws, but it's just not profitable to call off or jam. Don't want to gamble here. I'm here to make money, so all things considered, I fold, and things just aren't going my way to start off. But no better time to pick up the action when I pick up pocket 4s in the cutoff. What a premium. Once again, another straddle on, and there's a player to my right who limps. Definitely going to apply pressure against the limper. I raise it up to $30 here, and only the player on my right makes the call, and he's more of the passive type from what I've seen so far in this session. So trying to just be super aggressive, and the flop comes King 8-3 to diamonds. He checks to start off, and I have pocket 4s. You know I'm blasting. I bet $25, and this player decides on a call. When the turn comes the Jack of clubs, he checks for a second time, and this is tricky. Another Broadway card. There are 2 flush draws on the board, and I'm trying to get folds from weaker 1-pair holdings, or honestly, he just might fold a king given how passive he's been so far. So I just size up to $100 here with pocket 4s, basically a decent bluff candidate, and it seems to get the job done as firing out bigger bets in the 1-3 streets tends to get a lot of folds. Looks like we were playing with the straddle on when I have Queen Jack offsuit and +1, and I raise it up to $20 here, and no shortage of action once again in these stakes. Middle position, button, and small blind all call, so 4 ways to a flop of ace-5-6 rainbow. Pretty gross here, just disconnecting and multi-way. Action checks all the way through. I'm done putting money in the middle here. When the turn comes a 3, there are 2 players who check to the middle position player who bets out $30. Well, not much of a story here because everyone folds. Not a lot going on at this table, but the action is just kicking off. One of the last hands of the session, I pick up ace-7 of diamonds under the gun, and no straddle here in this hand. I raise it up to $15 first to act. Trying to get involved here, and the player to my left calls, the cutoff calls, and the button calls. So completely out of position, but 4 ways to a flop of 9-5-4, 2 spades, and a diamond. This is a flop that I kind of want to get spicy with as we have backdoor flush draws, backdoor straight draws, and I don't know, we can apply some pressure, but I start off with a check and action checks to the button who bets out $25. Like I said, I'm happy to get involved and peel one, so with all my backdoor draws and 1 overcard, I make the call for $25, but see immediate bad news. The cutoff check raises to 96 now. And when the button calls for 96 total, I am feeling pretty gross as I just have a terrible hand. Trying to rely on runner draws hitting isn't really the most profitable way to play poker, especially at these stakes. So I'm going to let my cards go, and we see action ensuing. When the turn comes the Jack of Clubs. Doesn't improve me at all, so I'm happy to get away. But the cutoff bets out $125. The button rejams for 280 total. Not a whole lot more for the cutoff to call, and we're going to hypothetically sweat out this flop when the cutoff calls. The river comes a board pairing 9, and the cutoff shows 9-5 of diamonds for a boat and wins a massive pot. 9-5 of diamonds, 9-5 suited, calls my under the gun open. It's a fun table and good times in the 1-3 streets. All right, after some shenanigans, unfortunately, this was a pretty tame video. I played the 1-3 for about 2 hours, and not a whole lot happened besides that first hand with 10s running into aces, and I'm just gonna call it a day, mainly because I got called for the 5-10 game, and I'm gonna make a video for that, which you already have seen, but overall, played for about 2 hours, in the game for $800, out for 503. Essentially just broke even after that 10s and aces hand, and it's hard to make money at the 1-3 streets for sure. It's hard to beat a rake that is significantly higher than most places, and you know, I always love the room, but it's hard to profit, and just going to minimize my time playing at the 1-3 stakes, to be quite honest with you, because a lot of money goes into that invisible little box underneath the table. But thanks so much for watching. Sorry if this was a little bit of a more tame video, but a little bit more educational, because I wanted to focus on the emphasis of rake and my thought process and actions. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.